start. Here we are, pretty much experts. I'm Robert John Patterson in sunny Montenegro. This is my brother Mike.
Hello.
And my other brother Skylar.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. What is bonjour?
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
That was not even a half-ass attempt.
It was a real attempt. I'm just
What's
trying to be
bonjour?
multilingual. I don't know. Hello, greetings in French. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Yeah, how do you say it?
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Oh yeah, no.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
No.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice draw. Nice draw.
Yeah. You gotta be inclusive, right?
Bonjour.
Yeah, that's it.
Bonjour.
You know what? At least he's trying.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't call that trying.
Say it how I read it. Bonjour.
I remember when we went to Gatineau, Quebec that time, and we stayed in a hotel, and
Yep.
we went to Tim Hortons in the morning, and it was like they have to greet you in French first, and they said bonjour, and then we're like English.
Hello.
And then
Yeah.
they look like they had to like swallow their pride, swallow their tongue, everything just like hello. And
Just gut-wrenching.
there was some
Yeah.
gut wrenching for these Gatineaus to have to use their English tongue.
Oh, you think they'd be used to it by now. But, I mean, there is definitely an attitude towards
Ugh.
the English
Oh, there
when you're
should
in
be.
that province.
Bonjour.
Yeah, totally.
Bonjour.
Especially
They speak
Gatineau,
the
it's,
language
like,
better
right
than
on
I
the-
do. Like, fuck.
Yeah,
I stumble over that shit, right? Not a major in
Yeah,
English.
but
you
they're right
just
on the
welcomed everyone
border.
with a nice bonjour.
Bonjour.
Like,
Bonjour.
that's barely English. It's barely French.
It's not French. I
It's
legit
definitely not
didn't know
French.
what you were talking about. Bonjour.
That's how they say it in like New Brunswick.
No, they
Bonjour.
don't.
Oh yeah,
The
You've never
Métis?
been.
I've never been. You've never been.
Never been. I've seen it on the internet. Seen all there needs to see.
So welcome everybody.
Welcome.
Yeah. Welcome. Good fucking
Last-
sidetrack. Has nothing to do
Yeah.
with this week's topic, which is Sasquatch.
Ooh yeah.
Yeah,
Bigfoot.
yeah, it is.
The three of
Yeti.
us are
Yeah.
hard on Bigfoot.
Wowie. Oh, it's a
How do
yowie,
you say
not a wowie.
Sasquatch in French, Skylar?
That was Australian. That's what they call it. They call it a wowie in Australia.
They don't have it in Australia.
Oh, they got it. They got a wowie. And it's
A
actually
wowie.
pronounced Australia. That's how they say
Australia.
it. Australia. That's true. It's like Toronto. No
Is
one
that
says it
just
with
Australia thinking that they have every freak animal, so they better have a Bigfoot also?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Like a
Like-
hold my beer situation?
It could be some like transplant Americans or Canadians that just want to,
Yeah.
bring that
Okay.
tradition to the outback.
Like, are we getting into it? Like, we can get into it right now. Like, I've got an opinion
wasted
on
5 minutes on Bonjour.
this. Yeah. Really uphill from here, right? So
Yeah, let's hear it.
my research led me to believe that there used to be a giant ape called Gigantopithecus, and
Yep.
it
Big
died
bird.
off about 100,000 years ago, and I believe it is like 40,000 years is like they've kind of estimated that humans have started making the travel from Asia over the Bering land bridge that connected
Mhm.
Asia and Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
At
And
one
so-
point, yeah.
And so they would have traversed that, right? I'm not saying that the Gigantopithecus came with them, but I think that
Ah.
ancient humans interacted with Gigantopithecus to a point where they knew it existed, and as they migrated, these stories came with them, and that's why it's like all of China has like I can't remember what they're called. They got some
Yeti.
weird, like
The
the
Yeti,
Yeti.
yeah.
The Yeti's more Nepal
That's
and
in China.
Okay.
Yeah, depends who you talk to.
They look the same. Me.
I can't. It's like the Yari or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, it's close to Yeti.
Okay.
But either way, like
Yeah.
from Australia all the way around like Asia up the Bering Strait and down California, there's some pretty heavy sightings of Bigfoot or a Yowie or a Yeti. That I wonder if part of it is not necessarily that the Bigfoot is real, but that these stories came with ancient civilizations.
Gotcha,
And
yeah.
this is where the basis for it. That's why it's never like it's a dragon or it's like a giant like cougar. It's like, no, it's a man ape. It's a Bigfoot.
So how do you explain it being like mistaken in modern day? So the stories exist, let's say, you know,
Yeah.
I'll believe that theory for now.
I'm questioning
You know,
that theory.
Fair
the
enough.
stories traveled.
Yep.
Yeah.
But like how do you explain like you know, people's interactions with it today? Is it just bullshit?
Now, see, I think a lot of it is bullshit, but I also have that inkling that it's true. That again, I wonder if
I want to believe it.
yeah. The other thing that I got into was like the different Homo sapiens and Neanderthals and the clove people, and there was like a hobbit race. This is all real.
Hobbit race.
Yeah, the hobbit race. Yeah, that's what they're referred to as, and like the
You're
Diovians
reading
is
too
another
much
one. I
sci-fi.
think I'm saying that wrong,
The
but either way, it was
diabetes.
different types of like human.
Diabetes is real.
Diabetes is definitely
let's
real.
just get that on
There's two
record,
types
yeah.
of it. That's how real it is.
Yeah.
There's a selection. But so the Neanderthals and Homo sapiens, right? Like these are definitely two different distinct groups of primate that interacted over the years. One of them actually died off, the Neanderthals. But so what if there was another species there of
Like the missing
hominoid?
link.
Yeah, not even a missing link, but just another human being type creature that we did interact with in the ancient times, and if the bridge was there that we walked over, there's no reason why they couldn't have walked over it as well.
Well, we probably led the way.
I'm about to blow your guys'
Maybe
mind.
they did. Maybe they
Yeah,
were trying to
maybe.
get away from us because we were all loud and talking about Jesus.
Yeah, exactly.
They were like,
I'd want to
"See
get
ya."
the fuck over that bridge too.
God,
I have
can't
a
wait.
wild card theory.
Wild
Okay.
card theory.
Let's hear
I
it.
think people see this great ape, as they like to call it, and they think Bigfoot, ape, gorilla, whatever.
Yeah.
What if I proposed a question to the group that it was not an ape-based life form?
Wow. So not like a hominoid.
What
Like,
else
is
could
what
it
they-
be? Because I have these thoughts
Alien?
sometimes.
You
like,
mean
if
like
it's not
alien?
a monkey,
Dolphins?
Turtle?
Here's where I'm
You
going.
almost say turtle.
North
Ninja
American, North American sloth.
A
A
sloth.
sloth.
Yeah,
That's
think
quicker?
Just
about
a
it.
giant sloth.
It's
That's
just a
interesting.
sloth. We just haven't really
yeah.
like got deep into those, the Pacific Northwest, and
A
there's a,
sloth-
breed of sloth.
A sloth
is
has
like
to be a monkey.
It's not a monkey.
Isn't it?
It's its own
I
deal.
don't know what that is.
I don't know what the fuck it is, but
I was
like
got
I'm
those
just
weird
trying to
claws.
think of like rationally. Okay, someone sees this thing and they're like, it's 8 feet tall. What if
Yeah.
it's only a 4-foot sloth hanging from a tree, and they just see it and they panic?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But like 1,000 times in a row?
Yeah.
Like, it's not just
Well,
one account.
Like Skylar was saying, like
It's interesting.
I've deep dived in those YouTube videos, and 99.99% are fucking bullshit. All those
Oh, yeah.
people are just losers that want attention. And I saw this, and its eyes were glowing red, and it came at me, and it was knocking on the trees, and it's shut up.
Yeah, there might be something to say about like their level of intelligence too. You know, the majority
for
of
sure.
people who are eyewitnesses to this skunk ape. You
That's
know,
what I couldn't think
running
of. It was-
around.
What the fuck was the stink fucking ape that I was hearing about last
Skunk
night?
ape.
The skunk
Yeah.
ape, but that's bogus.
Yeah.
That's just chimpanzees that live in the fucking.
I think that's just
Everglades.
another name. It's also just another name, right? People
Yeah.
use to.
Sorry, not only are they chimpanzees, it's like there's like a correlation, a positive correlation between like in the 70s, when people thought like monkeys and chimpanzees were awesome pets to have as babies.
Yeah.
And then as they grow up, they get dominant and like will rip your face off, like that one woman on Oprah.
Easy.
And
Totally.
So they just let them go.
Everything.
Yeah, they just let you go. They just like let
Eat
the
you
animal
from the
go
butthole
free,
up.
right? Like drive them out to the back roads and get out of here.
Do you think like living off
then
human food, they get like super tall and
and angry, yeah. They get one of the diabetes and
and they're
their
cunning and
insulin's
clever.
low.
But like, do they know? Are they self-aware? Like, okay, let's say they are disregarded refugee.
Are we talking about
chimpanzees? No, let's say like, you know, that's, you know, people mistake these chimpanzees now modern day as the skunk ape or as Bigfoot or Yeti or whatever.
Yeah.
Or North American tree sloth.
Or the North American,
okay,
also
or tree
known.
sloth.
Yeah. So, do you think that like they're self-aware enough to like hide? Like they know they're not, right? They can't be. They can't be self-aware enough to like stay elusive as the Bigfoot. You know?
Yeah.
So
That's
I mean,
not
like
the
I'm
Dragon
sure
Machito,
some
you know?
like I'm sure some of those discarded chimpanzees have been mistaken as Bigfoot by some stupid kid, but
Yeah.
you know, that doesn't describe thousands
not
or
so
like
much-
interpret thousands of years.
Not so much though that like it's like they're elusive, but the theory is that like they can thrive in the Everglade setting. Like that's very rainforest-esque, that they could just swing from trees, and they're like, I'm pretty sure they're like hybrid animals, chimpanzees. So they're more like able to adapt to their surroundings, where they don't necessarily need to have like a fucking, what are those stupid bears that always die because they don't eat?
Pandas.
Yeah, those fucking dumb pandas.
Yeah.
Like they
Stubborn.
only eat bamboo, so that's why like they're fucked, because they just have a terrible like hygiene and nutrition, right? So
I mean, in it seems like in Japanese culture they love lollipops and candy, so we should start trying to incorporate that into their diet. Maybe they'll
they
live
like
longer.
hats and dancing.
Yeah, they love it. Give it to them.
Yeah, but so like if you take
You
away
know?
the bamboo, the panda's gonna die. Where like the chimpanzee is just like, well, I'll just fucking grab whatever I can eat and eat it.
Yeah, they'll eat a
And
grub.
over the years, a bit, I'm not saying like evolution is kicked in yet, but again, you're gonna learn to adapt to your surroundings. Maybe they're bigger, maybe they're, you know, like RJ saying, they're hanging from trees. I don't know, like that. The stink ape is, or the skunk ape is like totally just like a man-made Bigfoot.
I just thought it was a way to describe it. You know,
It's
just
a cool
someone's
like southern
dialect or
slang name
Yeah.
for it. Two things
no, the
quickly
skunk
though.
ape. The skunk ape is a Florida-based.
Yeah, it's a southern
right.
animal.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
maybe even Nerlens, but not, you know.
Nerlens?
It's a
Nerlens?
swamp monster.
Yeah.
There's so many
You're
different.
trying today,
We
eh?
can have like
You're
an
really
episode
going for it.
every week on a different like crypto
Type of-
animal from the swamp
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
Like the south
Yeah.
has some shit going on down there.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
do.
But you're
They
saying
really
about
do.
like chimpanzees and evolution and bullshit. Like scientists have
Yeah.
been saying for a little while now that like chimpanzees have entered the Stone Age technically.
It says
Yeah,
in
yeah.
America for sure.
Over the
Making
last,
tools, using
50
tools,
years,
yeah.
like this is a new development, and it's not just like one specific group. It's like a general,
Yeah.
knowledge. that
Well, it's
seems-
like they see one of them do it, and then it just transfers throughout.
Yeah.
You know.
and they're
forever.
teaching.
I think there was like
they're
a-
teaching the next
ancient-
generation after them. Like,
Yeah.
here,
I think- I
here's
believe it
how
was
you
like
use
an
a
ancient
stick to dig a hole kind of
philosopher.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, ancient philosopher that once said, "Monkey see, monkey do."
Oh, was it?
I think
Yeah.
Mr. Rogers?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't think he was that smart. But yeah, totally right. Like one of them learns to do it, one of the other ones
Yeah.
catches on for sure, right? Like
Yeah.
skunk ape, not feeling it. Maybe like
There's
the real
also-
question we should be asking
Yeah.
is: was Bigfoot maybe just like chimpanzees that ancient humans brought over the Bering Land Bridge with
No,
them?
you can't control a chimpanzee. You're
A
bringing
little
that
baby?
shit. No way.
Little
Oh, you never
baby
seen
one?
King Kong?
It's gonna take you
That's
years to
gorilla,
get
but
across that
still.
amount
Yeah.
of land. You're not gonna bring a
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think you got
Maybe
like
we would.
2 years before a chimpanzee's like strong enough to rip your dick off.
And it will.
It will.
will.
Rip it right
It's gonna
off.
start
Yeah.
with
Where
the
it goes
dick and then
first.
the eyes.
You can't tell it no, or
No.
else it'll rip your dick clean off.
Yeah.
Clean. clean.
rip your jaw off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's interesting, eh?
Like the skunk
Well-
ape thing, I don't buy the skunk ape. And honestly,
Now,
even Ontario, I don't necessarily buy that there's like Bigfoot in Ontario.
Actually, the majority of sightings and encounters in North America has been on the East Coast, which is crazy.
Really?
It's the most populated. If you look at like a map,
intelligence thing.
I think so.
Maybe.
Like a lot of the stuff at least that I saw that I thought was credible. Now maybe this is just a bias, but I thought like a lot of it was coming out of BC and California and Washington State.
I've seen a lot
All
of
that
Pacific. Yeah,
region.
there's a lot of stories based in this area or that area, on the west here. But like if you look at like a Bigfoot encounters or sightings map, it's like predominantly eastern states, eastern Canada.
Yeah. Now
Which I thought was
population's
super
denser
wild.
over there, though.
Probably that's
Yeah.
what
More
it is,
idiots.
yeah. More
Another
people
thing,
making
though,
shit up.
I saw just before I came on, which I thought was interesting, was one guy made the comparison about how like there's a lot of sightings in Canada, and that Canada is like the second largest country in the world, but like population wise, like it's not very populated. So
Right.
there are like, you know, basically the boreal forest is like an untamed, not necessarily a rainforest by any means, right? But it is just like this giant fucking forest that if something wanted to live in there and not be found, like there's a good chance that you're not going to find
Odds
it.
are good. Yeah, the
Yeah.
odds are good. There,
Right?
I think the most interesting theory that I've heard about is that, and I feel like it's probably likely ghosts, aliens, interdimensional bullshit. Like it's all just people grabbing at straws. But like
Yeah.
the Lost Tribe stuff, where they say that it was possibly some inbred Aboriginals.
I think
And
that's
just
possible.
through years of inbreeding created like kind of a super race that just happened to be super hairy, and like that's how some of our North American how some of that folklore came to be, was just
Wow.
inbred Aboriginal tribes. And I guess in probably other parts of the world too, that theory holds up.
There, like to add on that, one of the things I saw was like this one native fella was talking about how like his group, his tribe used to, like, their shamans had like this weird ritual where they would have to abandon the tribe and go and live into nature for like 10 years and learn the way of living off of everything and having your spiritual experience, but they had to stay out there for 10 years and not be contacted by anybody in the tribe or any, you know what I mean? So that there was always this weird, like, what if some of them just didn't come back, right? Like maybe that's adding to what you're saying, Mike, of like,
yeah.
Now I'm not
exactly.
saying these guys have living forever and doing the, but it's like,
No,
is
but
that how it started? Like
Some of the stories, anyways. Yeah.
And they got together in the fucking woods and just fucked.
I have a saying that is never trust a Native American.
That's your saying? Wow. Wow.
I mean,
They're
Wow,
not the
okay.
ones that gave people blankets.
well, they have
RJ
their
Patterson,
back to that.
life story
pretty much
or their
experts
like
talk
origin story.
Send your hate
Of,
mail.
like the world is a
Yeah.
turtle and we're just on its back, like all that fucking bullshit.
Well, finding
You
like
can't,
symbolism
it's like
and
any other
everything.
religion. Like you can't
Yeah.
say like obviously the world's not a goddamn turtle, but your idea of this like ape man, like that part's
Sounds
real.
pretty flat Earth to me.
Yeah, I think the whole thing's bullshit. The whole thing's out the window.
Yeah.
You got me on Turtle Earth. Like fuck off with your stories.
They just attach symbolism to everything, right?
Yeah,
Like,
but that's my point. Like you can't attach symbolism to everything, and a modern civilization looks at them and go, "Oh, that's all just symbolism." But
Yeah.
the ape
one
creature,
thing's
that
real.
part's real.
yeah.
Like no,
Yeah.
the whole thing's
Fair
bullshit. Fuck off with all
Yeah.
of it.
See,
Okay. I'm glad
there was-
you explained yourself.
Yeah. There was one part that I read about, kind of like RJ, what you're saying, where like some of the oldest, like I think it's in like Northern California, there's a cave where there's like a drawing of what people think is like a Bigfoot, I guess, right? And they talked about how like the natives and the Bigfoot were like buds, not buds, but like knew of each other, respected one another, and that
Coexisted,
the
yeah.
natives yeah, like consider them to
Babysat.
just be like as normal as the other animals kind of thing, right?
Right.
And like there's a drawing that you can pull up that's on a rock and it's pretty like, oh, okay, kind of looks like a Sasquatch. But then in the same article it went on to talk about though that like, but if you try to like talk to people about it, it's like, but they don't believe that they walked over the land bridge. They believe that they came from the dirt and they were always here.
Right.
And it's just that again, it's like no different than like, well, I'm pretty sure fucking Adam came out of the dirt too, and that's what Jesus said. You
Some
know
kind
that
of
it's
dirt.
like just those like that. Like it's okay. Like, this is where your spirituality is in the way of trying to get to the bottom of things. You know,
Right.
like you guys walked over the bridge with the rest of the people that walked to Mexico, and
Yeah.
but like that's just how she went down.
That's how
Like
it
at least
went-
that's
that's
what
how
I
it went
think,
down.
right? Like
Mhm.
even the Hobbit people.
Now let's say that the big. Let's say fuck off with the Hobbit people.
They're
Now, let's
real, man.
say-
Look them up. It's a real
Not
thing.
gonna. I'm gonna let you.
They got a
school
different
me
name,
on
but
a
people
future
refer to
They
them as
call
the Hobbit
themselves
people.
dwarves or little people.
No, it's not them. They were with us over the
They
bridge.
exist in mostly circuses and back
Yeah.
alleys. Yeah.
They can't,
Um.
they can't clap
Really
hands
good.
behind their back, and their
Really good at doing
chin
flips.
is the same length
Yeah.
as their arm.
But they can kick each other, kick themselves in the head pretty easily.
Yeah,
Flips
for money.
apparently are a thing.
Yeah, they are. They are very much a thing. We grew up with. He had dwarfism. We grew up with a guy that had dwarfism, and he had some tricks. They're pretty wicked.
I remember that guy was
Yeah.
an asshole.
He was a total fucking asshole.
Yeah,
Total fucking
but he had
asshole.
some tricks. But he had some tricks.
He called some bikers on me one time for some bullshit. Like, got some bikers on my ass, and I got my nose broke because of it.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I remember you could pay him like $2 and he'd kick himself in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
that's
was
same
pretty
guy.
wicked. He'd
No more.
come to the skate park or
Yeah.
find him at a party or whatever, yeah.
$2, kick himself in his head. For some reason,
Cheap
calling
thrills,
the
man.
cops on you or bikers on you, even worse.
Yeah. Yeah, way worse. But
Fuck those Hobbit people.
so let's say that Bigfoot did exist or does exist. But let's say, at one point it did exist. Do you think it's a very real possibility that like human interaction caused an extinction?
No. They hide too much.
Because there'd be some skeletal remains or something, right? If
Yeah.
humans were. I was thinking about that. Like, I want to believe, like, with like the Tasmanian tiger, fucking black rhino, the giant ostrich thing, the prehistoric fucking bird thing from that was still around in the 1800s. Like, I want to believe that if it did exist, that like that humans probably had something to do with its extinction. But there'd be something in some museum somewhere. Not just people rambling on YouTube about this fucking head that my dad's had in his freezer for 60 years.
That was so
that
funny.
fucking guy.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
For the
yeah.
viewers at home, I sent these two guys a link of this guy on YouTube claiming that his dad
Jesus
shot a
Christ.
Bigfoot in the 1950s, and he'd kept
Yeah.
pieces of the carcass in the freezer, and he was going to release the video slowly over the next few months. And he specifically says he's going to release a video of the head, the foot, and the penis. And I couldn't help but fucking
Like,
laugh.
I'm
The
holding my
three-
breath for
The
that
three
one, man.
most
Yeah.
important parts. Like, you need to see the head to know what it looked like. The head, or at the foot to confirm it is in fact a Bigfoot because it has feet. And then we
Big
all want to
feet,
just
yeah.
see the dick.
Yeah.
Of course, everyone's wondering.
Both the
Everyone-
heads.
Is it
and no one
hairy?
will believe
Is it hairy, or is it like his face and palms, like no hair at all?
No hair.
It's
Is it
gotta
like
be
a
like-
gorilla that has like a little 1-incher?
It's just like a little lipstick.
Yeah, they just
Could
have little
be,
baby
yeah.
ones.
Just twists out.
If you're running around naked in the woods all the time, you'd want a little one that sucks
Yeah.
in. You want an innie.
You wouldn't want to get snagged.
Oh, no, you just grow your pubes out to catch all the
The
ferns.
whole thing's pubes. Where do you draw the line?
Yeah, the whole
What do you
thing.
mean?
You're right.
The
Yeah,
whole
the
animal
whole
is
animal.
pube.
Yeah. I guess you
could
could draw a line anywhere you wanted and just shave it.
Knees and nipples is pubes.
Yeah. You don't get tattoos when you're Bigfoot, you just shave your hair. It's a cool fucking like boat and an anchor. Mom. Oh,
So do you
fucking
think you like? So no, RJ, you said no. There's no way humans had anything to do with a possible extinction.
I don't think it can be like there's the argument of like is Bigfoot real? there's no evidence really of humans interacting with it. So like I think that would mean that like, well, how could they cause its extinction? Like something like the Tasmanian tiger, there's like evidence of them hunting and killing them. Something of like the buffalo in North America, it's like there's evidence of them being hunted and killed. So you can't really say like, oh, they're just indirect, like hiding like all the time, and they're hiding so much they didn't eat, and then they starved to death and died.
Yeah, I say, like deforestation could add to that, like indirectly.
If they are hyper intelligent too, right? Like people just like.
But if they're as smart as they are, they should be able to get around. Like, hey, like there's trees over there,
or shave and blend in with the normals.
Yeah, go buy a suit and tie and fucking pay your taxes. Come on,
pay your fucking land tax, Bigfoot. You've been squatting for millennia.
Yeah.
You put the squat in Sasquatch.
Just squatting.
Fucking squatting in the forest.
fucking hide and seek champion.
Squatch.
Yeah, fucking he should get his own sash. Hide and seek champion.
For sure. Yeah.
I wanted to
game was over 100 years ago.
Guinness World Records. Sasquatch.
I wanted to start the episode with this, but we're already fucking 30 minutes in. Have you guys ever had any close encounters of the Squatch kind?
No.
No?
You know what? No. Like when I hired on with the railroad, like for like the first.
What? You mean the airline?
Me?
Yeah.
Is that what we telling people? Yeah, when I hired on with the airline.
Yeah. Looking out the windows every day.
Looking out the window of the airlines.
Oh, I don't care, people. So whatever. Fuck it. When I hired on with the railroad for like the first 6 fucking months, you know, like it was like honestly, because you work with so many new people, like almost every time you go into work you're with a new person, and it circles back around. But like for months and months I very rarely worked with the same person, so I'd always ask like these old timers and even some of the newer guys, like guys and girls, like, do you have any ghost stories, any Bigfoot stories? And like
great icebreaker
like a resounding no. Like no one's got any. I mean, maybe because you're sleep deprived and you know you're not paying attention in that way. Like you're just trying to do your job while you're out there. But it's like, I don't know. Fuck. Like I just would have thought someone would have some bullshit to tell me about. Nothing. And I haven't had any encounters. No.
I just think though, like when it comes to them, if they're as elusive as everyone makes them out to be, like why would you be hanging around a train track that, like, you know, every couple hours there's a train, this giant fucking train kind of come, you know, rolling.
But we do go through some fairly remote areas going up to the port. So it's like it could be like because it's through migration areas of like caribou and moose and tons of other animals, deer and bear. So it's like I'm sure if there was Bigfoot out there, it'd probably have to cross the track at some point, right?
Yeah.
Go fishing.
Yeah, see him with his pole.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Eating all the garbage that gets thrown out.
I just think, like, of all the places to hang out, like, again, if they're as smart as they are, I think they're smarter than a fucking caribou. Like, that caribou is just like, I walked this way for 100 years, I'll walk 100 more. And, like, Bigfoot's like, hey, we'll just go over here. Like, let's not go over the train. And we can hear the train when it's coming.
You can clearly hear the train and see it, it's...
Caribou are still getting hit by it, right? Like, no,
feel it,
fucking
see it.
caribou. Yeah.
What about you, RJ? Have you had any?
It wasn't a Bigfoot, but it does lead to the idea of people being fucking morons.
Yeah.
So when I was like 14 or 15, I used to go up to a cottage with my dad all the time. Just the two of us would go.
Yeah.
It was just like, I don't remember why it was just the two of us. I don't remember at all. But we'd go up.
You both hated your brother.
Yeah, I don't know why, Skylar. I don't know why you didn't come. It was just like the two of us went up like a bunch of weekends in a row in the fall.
Yeah.
I don't remember why.
I don't know.
Just the two of us. I think we went up to paint or something. Like it was like one of those
just
bullshit
father-son
jobs that
bonding.
no one else wanted to do. Like it was already in the fall, so like the water was out, so you had to use the outhouse. So it's not very like convenient.
Yeah.
But we'd go up in the fall and paint. I'm pretty sure we went up to paint. And one night we were like sitting out at the fire, and we could hear like clicking, like And
Okay.
we didn't know what it was, but like, we theorized that like, oh, maybe that's like moose walking around because there's lots of like rocks. It's like the Canadian
Yeah.
Shield up in that part of Ontario. Like it's just like
Yeah,
rock
really rocky.
on the ground instead of like sand or anything. So it sounded like, oh wow, that's like hooves on rocks, and we would just like listen to like people walk. Like it sounded like moose walking, and every now and then you'd kind of get like a bugle or like the moan, and it's like, wow, there's like moose. And they might be a couple kilometers away, but because it's like late October, there's no other noise. Like it just sounds really nearby.
And
then
the forest is pretty barren.
Yeah, like there's just nothing. There's no other noise. There's no other cottagers. There's nothing.
Yeah,
So one night I was like sleeping in the bedroom, like, and the windows to the bedroom like face the front yard, and I could hear something moving around. And I was like getting a little bit scared because I was probably like 14 or 15. I'm just like, what the fuck is that? Like, I don't care what
Still
age you
bedwetter.
are. When you're trying to fall asleep and it's like 4 a.m. and you're in the
Yeah.
forest, you know, miles away from anything, and you can hear something, and it's not just like
Yeah.
like a squirrel. It's like there's something big moving around.
It never gets easier.
No, you're just
tell you
like,
that
what
much.
is that?
Yeah. It's
And
terrifying.
then-
Can be.
Like, I'm just like looking out the window. What is that? What is that? And then just like whatever moonlight was shining in was just blocked out, like just a shadow. And something walked across the window, and it smelt horrible. Like it was like a garbage dump walked past. And it was only there
Could've
for
been a
like
bear.
3-4 seconds, and then it was gone.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like
So it could've
maybe it
been a
was
bear.
one of the moose we heard earlier. Maybe it was a
Could have
bear.
been anything.
That's exactly my point. I didn't say it was a Sasquatch, but I'm saying like I was scared. Something walked by the window and it smelled fucking horrible, like a garbage dump. And then it was gone just as soon as like Russell, what's that? Like I'm trying to fall asleep. What is that noise? And
Who's
then,
Russell?
You didn't say twat.
And why are you sleeping with Russell?
Yeah, you don't invite your own brother
But
up
as
there.
soon as,
Yeah,
like,
I'm not allowed to go with some random Russell dude. Russell, wake up!
But it scared me, and I wake up and I'm like, what is that? What is that noise? The shadow, the smell, and then it's gone, and there's no sound, no smell, no shadow, all within 15 seconds.
Yeah.
But I'm like not so fucking stupid that I think of like it could have been this, it could have been this, it could have been that. Like probably number 1 was a bear, number 2 was one of the moose we heard earlier that day. But I could see in a different world someone thinking like Sasquatch,
Now,
giant monkey.
the only thing that
Okay.
now the knocking you heard. Now this is like that's a Bigfoot thing.
Yeah, but it sounded like rocks clicking together, not like tree. I don't know.
Yeah.
Could be like
But
a
Bigfoot
hoof
is,
on
like,
a
all
rock.
of it's so much bullshit. Like you hear the people on the YouTubes and the ghost hunting TV shows, but yeah, for sure we did hear the knocking
Mm-hmm.
that you see like on Bigfoot TV shows. Like, oh, there's knocking. That's how they communicate with each other because they don't use their mouths for some fucking reason.
Yeah.
But tons of animals knock their shit against trees.
Yeah,
Tons
and
of
that's
them.
what it was. Could have been a
Bears,
moose.
moose,
Like we were
elk,
thinking.
like-
I remember
Yeah.
we were talking out loud. Like, oh, it might be like the sound of like a moose hoof on rocks.
Yeah.
Because you hear
That's
like
what I
2
was
or
thinking when you
3,
said
and
that.
then you wouldn't hear it again. So it's like, oh, that's a patch of like it's walking over rocks, and then it's hitting some moss or grass, and it's hitting rock again. But it could have
Yeah.
been like a moose or another deer, like hitting their head against the trees. You know how they kind of like take the like velvet off their horns. Like it could have been anything.
Could have been anything. Could have
It
been your
could have
dad
been
taking a
anything.
piss.
A fucking Sasquatch is like 9th on the list.
The smell.
The smell,
Yeah, he
but
must have been
again,
taking
like
a
back
shit.
to like the
Yeah.
skunk ape. Like I could
Dad's
see
just taking a
how,
shit outside the window.
You said something to piss him off before bed, and he's just pushed his butt against
Yeah.
the window.
just lets one rip.
Yeah.
But like
Just
all
all that
those
chili.
like things, I think add up to what a Bigfoot encounter would be on one of those Sasquatch TV shows. Like, oh, we heard knocking, we heard something
Yeah,
big
yeah.
in the forest, we smelt something, it blocked out the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Is
Like
check,
in
check, check,
hindsight,
check, check.
it's all the things. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm still like, that was like number 9 on my like thing of like, that was probably a bear, and I should still be concerned.
Yeah,
Canadian
yeah.
goose.
Probably more concerned.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
Yeah, for
since
sure.
no one's ever seen a Bigfoot, like bears are fucking real, and they'll fuck you up
See-
in October.
Now,
Yeah, that's
I
what
don't
they're-
have any
they're eating
personal
hard.
stories. But I watched a dude last night talking, and it was just him. He was a taxidermist,
Yeah.
and one of the things he said, and it was kind of funny because he had like the worst haircut anybody had ever seen, was just that taxidermists are like the barbers of the hunting like lifestyle, where think of like a barber or a beauty shop where like you go and sit down and you gossip and everyone gets their like,
Oh,
oh
okay.
well, I did this and I did that, and oh my god, my son is beating his dog or something. I don't know, like you hear all those shitty
Okay.
stories.
Red Rocket,
Yeah,
Red
yeah.
Rocket.
Red Rocket. But so his thing was that, like, as a taxidermist, when people bring in their fucking things, like, stuff this dead mongoose that I shot in the face, that it's like, oh, well, one time this happened, and one time that happened, and he had all these crazy stories, and had talked about how he had seen, like, a Bigfoot and a Sasquatch, and the one thing that he always says with hunters is, like, hunters, they're not lying when they'll tell you, like, they'll never tell you what they saw, but they can tell you what they didn't see, because like they see. So it's like I don't know what it was, but I know it wasn't a bear.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
For this
right?
reason,
Like,
that reason, this reason. Yeah.
I've seen bears. I've shot them. I've carried them on my back. I've slept in them when it got cold. Like that was no bear.
It's fucking hot.
Yeah, pulled a Leo and just fucking slept in Baloo last night. But
Yeah.
so
It's good to minus
that-
20.
some of that stuff I find really interesting, and like this one, like this guy had actually made to size Bigfoot, Sasquatch.
Okay.
Am I like
okay.
are we calling is Bigfoot like a derogatory term?
Is
I
it?
think
Like,
Sasquatch
it's
I
like...
don't know.
is-
Like I feel like the more I say
Because
it,
it would be a
dirtier.
race, right? If it
Yeah.
exists, it'd be a race.
Yeah, and we're
Where
just
does
calling
Sasquatch
them.
come from? Where did that name come from?
That's a great. It's got to be Aboriginal of some
Well,
kind.
then discount it.
Yeah, I know you don't ever trust them. What do you guys
They
call
also
that? I don't
call
know,
them-
fucking
they call them-
Sasquatch.
They call them
Fucking giant
crazy
turtle.
bears.
Fucking-
Yeah.
Crazy bears. That's what
Crazy
Let's
they
call
call
them
bears.
crazy bears.
All right, so crazy bears. But so he made a life-size crazy bear from the dimensions
Super cuddly. Super
from the
cuddly.
dimensions of the Roger Patterson video, which I guess we should touch on at some point, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
the world famous first
Are you
ever
guys
Bigfoot.
related to that
Yeah.
fucking
I
goofball?
probably. He seemed like a real
Yep.
shady motherfucker, so I wouldn't be surprised.
He seemed legit to
Yeah.
me, so yeah.
Yeah, but so
Yeah.
I guess the guy like took the
Uncle
video
Rob.
and got measurements for it and made this like taxidermy Bigfoot crazy honey bear that's in his fucking studio, and he shows it to people, and like he's like, I can tell by people's reactions who's telling the truth from who's not telling the truth, because like sometimes they see it. And this one guy told him a story about how he was
Fucking
hunting.
bullshit.
He was like a young boy. He was like 14 at the time and had a rifle and was like going for a walk. I think it was I think they're from Alberta. This guy is based out of, but
Clearly.
he was
Clearly.
walking through the bushes like up this river, and on the other side of the river heard this crazy like howl whale, and looked over, and this fucking honey bear was like running at him.
Crazy
Like
bear.
full bore,
Crazy bear. Crazy bear.
and like
A honey
screaming
bear.
and yelling, and like ran through the water towards him, and he shot it,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
it like took off the other way kind of thing. But this guy, he said, was like when he saw the taxidermy honey bear, like it was like
Crazy
was-
bear.
Crazy bear. Crazy bear.
I'd like it to be sweeter than crazy, but but he was like
That
shooken.
sounds derogatory. That's like calling a woman,
A chick.
I don't know, a chick. Yeah, exactly. You're calling the crazy bear the honey bear. You're sexualizing it.
Yeah.
Quit sexualizing.
2018,
sexualize
bud.
Quit
everything.
sexualizing
2018.
crazy bear.
Crazy bear.
Yeah, don't sexualize
yeah.
that shit.
So what are we calling them? Honey bears?
Crazy bear.
No!
Crazy
You are.
bears. Crazy bears. Okay, yeah, but so I don't know. This guy, like the one thing that the guy then got into, which was really weird, was like talking about fucking how they can manipulate like radio, like EMP stuff.
Yeah.
And
EMF?
that's why like no one ever gets like good footage of them. And like maybe this is where it was like, dude, okay, like you had me up until like the reason why no one gets footage is because they have like I guess like sharks can fucking
No, they
sense
can't.
electric magnetic waves. Yes, they can. You've
But they
seen
can't
Jaws.
disrupt TV cameras. And
No, I'm
shit.
not saying that they
No.
can. Like, why the fuck in the evolutionary process of a creature that hasn't seen any kind of human beings or
Yeah,
electronics
exactly.
in its life would need to have that fucking defense mechanism, like a skunk just like shoots EMPs out its butt or something, you know? Like,
That comedian
No,
Mitch
doesn't need
Hedberg
it.
has a joke that the reason you can't get a clear photo of Sasquatch is because he's blurry. He's just a
Fair
blurry animal.
Sometimes it's the simple answers, right?
yeah. But
It's right in
like
front
that Roger Patterson dude, he had that video which was like famous in the 60s and forever like is the one that everyone thinks of when you think of like the
Yeah.
Bigfoot. But this one
Yeah.
thing I was reading about is like what you don't know is like this guy never held a regular job and considered himself an inventor
Yep.
and always thought that like he was going to invent the next big thing and like the get rich quick scheme. And then he got super into crazy bears and went to like California with the intent where he took out a loan that he was going to make
Yeah, totally.
a motion picture about crazy bears.
Yeah.
Went out his very first weekend of shooting this film, just happened to stumble upon a fucking crazy bear, shot the film, and that was it.
Mhm.
Like, didn't make the movie, just
Yeah.
filmed this one shot of like a real Squatch walking through the forest, I guess, right? So it's like
Mhm.
the guy's credibility is kind of totally out the
Terrible.
window, in my opinion. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, mostly.
There's like more
anyways.
other stories that like the check he used to rent the camera bounced.
Bounced, yeah.
And
Oh no.
there's a guy called I think his name is Bob Hieronymus that's come forward and said like he was the guy in the Squatch suit.
Wow.
If you,
And
like,
totally, and they show the two
They-
people.
yeah,
two of them
he does like
walking
an
side by
impression
side.
of like this is the
Yeah.
way I walked, and they do it side by side, and it's like yeah, Bob Hieronymus.
And here's
is
the
wearing
stupid
fucking-
He's
look I
kinda-
made in the camera.
Yeah,
and it's just some
he's
dude.
like a big
like,
guy.
Yeah, he's
Huge
a tall
dude.
dude, and he's like, yeah, we met in like
Yeah.
a bar or some shit, and he paid me like $2,000 to wear the suit and walk.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And he's
Yeah.
kind of like a lumbering dude.
Yeah, he's just a
And
big
like
dumb idiot.
just exaggerated the movements. Yeah,
Yeah.
Like it's convincing to see the two of them side by
Yeah.
side.
For sure. Yeah, no, that's a bunk. Very bunk
Button video.
video.
Well, like that's kind of like that. I think that's after or around the same era, maybe after of that like Minnesota Iceman that they found in Siberia. Did you see anything about that?
Oh, fill us
No.
I guess it's just like it was like in the 60s, and there's all these theories like, oh, it was killed during the Vietnam War, and it was, some people say it was, it's not actually an ape or not actually human, it's some other thing, but really it just turned out to be like a fucking chunk of like strategically made latex and hair and everything. Like that's like the kind of the modern description of it. So, but it was like traveling through the 60s and 70s, like all the like state fairs and in the malls, and it was like a touristy thing. Like, oh, you got a used car lot? Well, bring our fucking Minnesota Iceman down there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was like I guess like promoted as like a juvenile Bigfoot.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I don't know anything
Okay.
more about it except for that it was like, a traveling sideshow that exists still. Like it's in some museum of the occult or weird shit somewhere in the United States right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember in like 2008-ish, I had this graphic design job, and at the time there was this like breaking like YouTube news of this guy that like had shot a Bigfoot, and he was gonna like send it in for DNA, blah blah blah, but it was like frozen, so there's like a delay, like we had to thaw it, and then we're gonna do the blah blah blah. And I was so fucking into it. Like, I wanted it to be real so badly, and everyone else in the studio was just making fun of me, giving me shit every day. Like, oh, any updates on the DNA? I'm just like, oh, like, why did I announce this? Why did I announce this at, like, some morning meeting that, like, this was happening?
Mm-hmm.
You know, just,
Yeah,
like,
that's pretty dumb.
And when you remove yourself from, like, being, like, I don't know, like, 24 or something at the time, like, just dumb and young. Like, if there was actually, like, something like this happening, it would be on all the major news networks. Like, it wouldn't just be some YouTube channel. But it was, like, the infancy of YouTube. And I'm just like, no, this is real. Like, this guy's, like, skipping the middleman. He's releasing it himself. And he's, like, showing videos of, like, this, like, clearly, you know, in hindsight, I look back and it's like, this is just an ape costume in, like, a big freezer. And it's all frozen. You can't really see anything other than like frozen hair. But it was just like, this guy was like raising money to do the DNA test, blah, blah, blah. And then the YouTube channel disappears a month later. And it's it's like, God damn it. Like, if there wasn't so many like hoaxsters and shysters, it could add so much more credibility. But it's like every time it just proves to be not real.
Well, that's what people have been banking on for fucking 150 years, is that, like, at one point, to make those statements, if you were, you know, not a crackpot or didn't have a, you know, a weird history, then you were a credible source.
Yeah.
But, like, over the last 150 years, it's just got out of control. So now anytime anyone says anything about Bigfoot or any of that mysterious shit, it's just kind of like, whatever. Like, you know, even if it was real, it at first, like, 95% of people are going to dismiss it, right? Just whatever.
There's
Put it up on YouTube.
that this guy that I watched the other day talk about. I don't even remember his name, and I watched like an hour of him
just
talking
make a
about
name
Bigfoot.
Up.
Yeah, Kevin Charles. Kevin Charles talking about the crazy bears. But like he threw a name out there and was just like told the story, and then I looked the guy up, and like, this is totally wrong, but I'm pretty sure his name was like Justin Smegma.
Okay. Sounds
real. Like, I don't know if it's
like,
right.
Is that his internet handle, or
no? That was like what was on like SMEJA, and I was like, Smegma, like, you know, it's close as it gets
enough.
Without the G. But his story was that him and his buddy, and this other guy, like I said, the guy I watched, like, he was like, if you talk to Justin, like, his story is 100% true. Like, I talked to him, I vouch for him. And then, I watched it, and this guy, I think he was in, like, California in some, like, national park, and he fucking shot 2 Bigfoot. Him and his buddy, like, pulled up this old logging road, and he didn't even get out of the car, because when they pulled up, and it was a real shitty story, now that I'm going to retell it. He was, like, the guy was telling it to this, he was, like, a veterinarian, he said he was, and he was, like, doing the interview, and, like, trying to get to the bottom if it was real or not. And the guy's story goes basically, like, they pulled up the logging road, and he saw something dark over yonder, like, not far, like, maybe, like, 50 feet, 60 feet. Thought it was a bear, because they were going bear hunting. That's what it was. So he's going bear hunting, rolls his window down, pulls his gun out, and as he pulled his gun out and looked down the scope, he realized it wasn't a bear, and the thing looked at him, stood up on its, like, back legs, I guess, and actually, like, raised his hands over his head, and then the guy was just like, and that's when I decided I was gonna shoot it. And he fucking, like, shot it.
Raise his hands and surrender.
That's what I thought, right? Like, it's like, what the fuck? And he said he shot it, and it hit him in the lower right rib. And, like, he's like, I watched it. Like, you could see the dust come off the wound. Like, it was, like, direct hit. And then once it happened, and the gunshot happened, 2 other smaller Bigfoot stood up that were clearly, like, he assumed were the babies of this other Bigfoot that he just shot. And that Bigfoot took off into the woods, and then this guy then shot one of the babies in the neck and killed it.
Fucking neck shot.
Yeah, and neck shot killed it, And he said he went over and he picked it up and was like holding it in his hands as it was like choking on the blood. And he's like, I could see the whites of his eyes, and the only reason he didn't bring it out with him was because he didn't think that he was going to be allowed to get out of the park with it, because it wasn't like, it's bear season, right? So you can't come out with like a monkey. So he buried it with the hopes of going back, and when he went back it was gone.
Oh well.
Yeah. But so it was a pretty weird story, and like I guess he described the face to this other dude that I was watching, and he's like, what he described to me was like a juvenile Bigfoot. And he's like, I can tell. This guy then went in to talk about though how he could tell the difference in, you know, the foot castings.
Yeah,
sure.
That he said that within the foot castings he could tell the difference between a male, a female, and a juvenile, because the juveniles. No, hear me out though. He's like, and I guess he brought it to like a foot doctor, some of them, and the foot doctor like looked at them and was just like, yep, like these are. The muscles are all kind of there. They don't have the same arch as we do. They have a weird, like, it's almost like a joint in their foot, so they're flat-footed. But that, like, the heel of juveniles is really small because they're still growing.
Fully developed, yeah.
They're not fully, So he's like, if you find a track that's like 13 to 15 inches long and it's got a thick heel, that's a female, because they're not growing any bigger than that. If you find a 15-inch, 13-inch impression and it's got a narrow heel, it's a juvenile male typically that isn't done growing. And then anything over 15-inch with a thick heel is a male. And like he was saying,
I could have guessed that. I just could have guessed that. You know, if you were to lay out,
that's 100% what that is, though.
Yeah,
but
there's
so,
no
like,
corroboration to that by comparing it to like a specimen of like, this is what a male looks like.
Well, you could compare it to a gorilla foot. You could compare it to a human.
Do gorillas
foot.
have big feet?
Human,
though?
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
You could what?
Do gorillas have?
Gorillas grow? Did you just ask that?
No, I said, do they have big feet?
I don't know.
Their feet are like hands,
dicks, so.
so they don't have feet.
They got thumbs though. Yeah, but I'm sure like it's, you know, maybe gorilla's a bad example.
Nothing like a Bigfoot.
Our feet are nothing like gorillas. Maybe go look at a bonobo.
That's what I mean. It's all.
They're our cousins.
I'm with this
Fuck's
guy
a bonobo?
in theory,
Oh, it's
but
one of
like,
those.
act like he's an
It's like a gorilla.
Weird face monkey.
No, it's a gorilla, but it's more. We're more closely related to a bonobo than we are a gorilla or a chimpanzee or an orangutan.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Orangutan.
We also are like the only two gorillas that fuck from the front.
Right on.
Yeah,
right on, yeah.
Yeah, we'll turn it around, but we also don't mind getting intimate.
Yeah. Getting lovey-dovey.
Yeah, I think gorillas only do it from the back, and chimpanzees do it from the back too, but they also just fuck everything they meet. Like guys, girls, fish, doesn't matter. They meet it, they put their dick in it.
I've heard tell that the only law in the chimpanzee kingdom is the mother will not fuck the son. Everything else goes.
Everything else, so they'll fuck their daughters. They like scissors.
Yeah. Brothers will fuck brothers. Everything else is allowed.
Yeah, no, they just fuck everything. They don't care. They don't get it.
Mothers won't fuck their own sons. That's the only rule.
That's good.
That's the only rule.
In the jungle, in the monkey jungle.
So in the very little bit of research that I did looking into this bullshit, and just over the years, like, you mentioned a few times about people claiming to shoot Bigfoot. Like, anytime I've ever heard anyone claim to shoot Bigfoot, it got away. Like, I shot him point blank in the face with a shotgun, and he got away.
Blew his fucking head off, and it got away.
Yeah, exactly. But he ends up still just getting away. So it's like there's probably more accounts of people shooting him and getting away than people shooting him and killing him, right? Like,
shooting and like missing.
It's super common. Like, oh no, I got him. I hit him, 3 times with my 30-06, but he just like didn't even phase him, kept walking.
Yeah.
So, what?
But I mean, like, you do hear about, like, people shoot, like, deer or moose, and they then have to like follow the trail to the dead animal, right? Like that happens. Happened in No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
Like it, you know, you definitely like, oh, I got it in the back, and it's like it's wounded. I'm gonna follow it, and you know, sometimes you follow it and you find it dead somewhere. Or sometimes you just gotta shoot it again. Now imagine that it was this like.
Yeah, but most times when people are hunting, they're hunting from a distance. Like all the stories that I've heard, it's like, oh, it's like, you know, it's 50 feet away from me, and I shot it with a fucking, you know, a large gauge rifle, and it's like, well, if you shot it 3 times like you claim, then it's not likely gonna be able to just mosey on back to the woods, you know.
But maybe it just moseys far enough away, and then his friends help him.
Maybe friends eat him.
Yeah, probably. They get rid of the evidence. But I mean, like,
Maybe
you could shoot a gorilla.
Bones.
You could probably shoot a gorilla and it wouldn't even phase it. We've all seen King Kong.
Yeah.
I bet you if you shot a gorilla, it would fucking go down.
No way.
At
Where
50 feet away?
50 feet? In the head or in the back?
I'm just saying, like, most of the accounts aren't at, like, oh, and he was 500 yards away. It's like, he popped out right in front of me and I shot him in the face.
Because now here's like, something. I watched a thing on gorillas one time, and it was about these veterinarians that, like, they would have to keep tabs on the gorillas in the Congo, and they actually had to, like, distract the gorilla, because if the gorilla saw the gun, it knew what it was and would just fucking be gone. Like, you know, and to the point where, like, and because when they shot it, it would instinctively charge that person. Well, so part of it was like distracted over here, so when we hit it, it's just gonna fucking run, but won't know where to go, kind of thing. Yeah. And that was with a tranquilizer. So I mean, that you're kind of banking on, like, hey, I'm hitting it, and there's gonna be a weird moment of fuzziness where it's not going down right away. Where like if you shot, I think if you shot it with a bullet, depending on what kind of gun you're using. I don't know how calipers work or anything, but like,
no, me either, really.
You know, if you hit it in its big bulging bicep, I'm sure it would just look at you like, "Serious? Are we doing this?"
Yeah, true. If you didn't hit it in like any vital organs or the head or even the leg to incapacitate it, like like most animals would likely get away. But like this, like the handful of stories, like I said, I did barely any looking into this. A handful of stories that I heard of people shooting Bigfoots, they all got away. None of them said, "Oh yeah, it dropped and I buried it," like that one story that you had there. Like it's all like, "Oh, I shot it in the face with my 12 gauge from fucking 20 feet away, and it just looked at me and walked away." And it's like, "Oh, okay." The one thing that got me though, I was thinking, it's like, how many Bigfoot sightings like occur while people are trying to like stage or fake Bigfoot sightings? There's people out in the woods like fucking around trying to make these fake casts or putting on monkey suits and making footage. It's like, how many bystanders see that and now that's their fucking Bigfoot encounter?
It's really high.
It's like, gotta be high, right?
Yeah. Now, even with that said, I felt like some of the videos that I watched online that were like supposed Bigfoot videos, some of them were really bad. But like the most compelling ones were like, there was 2 I watched where one was like, it was a family tobogganing, and the other one was a family shooting guns. And in both of these videos, it's like they're filming the family doing the thing, and then it's like almost kind of like those shitty ghost videos that I don't really buy into. But you would see like there's one where the people were tobogganing. It was like they were kind of looking up a hill at the family tobogganing over to the left, and then to the right through it you can see like something poke their head up and then walk across the top. Like you can see the silhouette across the mountain, and then you see 2 more of them go by, and the second one is kind of running, and it goes down on all 4s and starts.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it was, and there was
pretty cool.
Those kind of weird videos where it's like, okay, either it's fake and you just fucking nailed it, or these guys mistakenly caught a Bigfoot, like, those, like, I don't know. There's some
or
of them
a skunk ape.
Or crazy bear.
The ones where people
Grizzly
don't
bear, yeah.
actually acknowledge
Honey bear.
the honey bears.
Honey bear, baby.
Those are the ones I buy into more than
Right.
the like I
Yeah,
watched
yeah.
one where this guy was riding his ATV through the river and like trying to be all cool.
I've
He does a
seen
bunch-
that one. Yeah, yeah.
He does and then something walks in front of him and he stops and is like pointing at his
Yeah.
buddy like, "Did you see that?" And it's, you know, maybe it's true, but even the fact that you
Yeah.
stopped and saw it is enough for me to be like, eh.
Yeah, I saw that
buying
one.
it.
It was on one of those lists, and like
Yeah.
I saw the one where they were shooting guns at like kind of like in a quarry, like they had
With
like
the
a little range
helicopter?
set up. No, it was just like a father and son.
Yeah,
Son
this
was
gotta be
shooting
the
the
same one.
target, and then
Yeah.
like the thing got up and like kind of walked off frame. It
And
was
then
like
kinda
hide behind a
watched them?
log. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was just a
Watch them
quick
from
like
ahead.
15-second video, right?
Yeah, and it's just like a black silhouette, like, you know.
Totally.
And I was watching it with the roommate, and she just kept being like, "That's a prison convict, like prisoner escape. That's all
Yeah.
that is." And it's
Escape
enough to
That's a
be
good theory.
like plausible deniability, right? Like, fuck,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It could be fucking. It could just be a vagrant.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Could be
Yeah,
anything,
it's
right?
not Jimmy, it's a Bigfoot.
Now I heard some weird shit about. I believe they're called almas.
Ooh, I never heard of that.
Yeah, they're
before.
like the giants, right?
Is it the like they're kind of like the Chinese giants, I think, but they're
Yeah,
also
I know
like
what you mean.
on the border of Russia and Kazakhstan. Is where they said it happened in like 1910. There was this story of like this Russian. They got word of like a German spy or a resistance that was coming together and hanging out in this cave, on the border, and they sent like a little platoon out to fucking investigate it. And when they did, it was just this fucking like wild man that ran out at
Wasn't
him.
it a woman?
No, it was a man. This story was a man, and they
Okay,
shot
'cause
him.
I heard one about a woman, and she ended up like giving birth to a bunch of like. Fuck,
I heard
Quit
about her
sexualizing
too,
the
yeah.
honey bear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like they DNA tested her, and she was like 100% African.
African and but like a strange,
Yeah,
you know, African that they'd never heard of, possibly dates back 100,000 or more years.
yeah,
Yeah, it was something
I-
strange. Anyway,
I did hear that. But those giant
that's
people
what you're
too. I can't remember what they were called, but there's proof of their existence in and around China, and this is also like a theory again with like that land bridge of just like maybe it's this species had survived and is still just like, you know, like there are fucking tribes in the Amazon that exist
Oh yeah.
that have no contact with the outside world.
Yeah,
you know?
true.
Like, and yes, some of them we know about, some of them we don't know about. Some of them know about us, and some of them don't know about us. Like some of them have chosen to be like, just leave us alone, let us do our thing, right? I believe it's the Pongos is a new gorilla or a new orangutan that they just discovered in like 2017. The DNA confirmed that it's in like Sumatra, I believe, down there, like Sumatra, Borneo, Indonesia. That
Okay.
again, it was this gorilla that people talked about, like villagers talked about it, but no one could verify it, and it only got verified for reals last November, a year ago, basically.
Wow.
That it's like, so there's this gorilla fucking, not a gorilla, orangutans and gorillas are a little different, right? Like more tree based, I guess you could say. The orangas,
Better singers.
but better singers. They got cooler coats, redheads. But yeah, that they, you know, they had been around, and like they got added to like endangered species list instantly as soon as they were
Yeah.
discovered, because there's like less than 800 of them that they can think, right? Like, so
See, that gives credit to the Sasquatch being real to
American
me.
sloth. Oh yeah.
The American sloth.
Yeah.
See, like, because
Yeah,
my
like, it's
my thinking is
possible.
like, okay, so the Pacific Northwest, like through Oregon. Do you say Oregon or Oregon? How do you call it, Mike? Oregon?
Oregon.
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 Like
Yeah,
Oregon,
it's like Oregon.
Seattle,
Like your heart,
Washington,
your dick.
and then like into British Columbia. It's like such thick, lush forest that I think
your
like
hair.
it's possible that there's something there that's just like not been totally discovered. But then to flip to the other
Yeah.
side is like, but we know gorillas are real, which are in the deepest, darkest parts of the Congo. Like if
Yeah.
white men have found a fucking gorilla, like how has science not found the North American standing sloth?
No, the thing with
But
the
then,
Congo,
Scottish tells the story of Indonesia, which is like this tiny little fucking island that also has like an undiscovered species. It's like, okay, maybe there's just like pockets and valleys that people can like migrate and move around in and not see things.
The Congo gorilla, though, the only argument I would have to that is that human beings have taken away their habitat, where they only really hang out in the mountains. And the main cities of the Congo basically are around these mountains, that like they can't go further, but they probably will. But that they have cornered those great gorillas into a corner, essentially. That it's like we know where they are, because if they want to leave, they have to go down Main Street to do it, kind of thing.
Yeah, but like when was the first time they pulled a gorilla out of the Congo? Like it had to be like 1870 or some shit, and up to like a London zoo. Like I just mean in that, like you're thinking rational that wise. It's like, okay, so like a bunch of like explorers went to Africa, and there was locals are like, oh, there's this like gorilla, go over there. Like it's just known that existed, and then these people went and they found it and they like took it, put it in a zoo, like all within a calendar year, back in the 1800s.
Well, what if like what we know as the North American giant sloth or Bigfoot, what if it migrated extremely north to the Arctic tundra, Alaska, up there? What if, and that's now where the abominable snowman fucking myth comes from? Because I mean, if we did encroach on their environment, like building civilizations, Northwest Canada, Alaska, maybe it just was like, hey, we got to get further and further away, and it can adapt because it's covered in hair, and who knows, right?
I thought it was without saying that the abominable snowman was a real thing. Like I understand this episode was debating Bigfoot.
Yeah,
that's a
but what
different
if
episode.
what if Bigfoot is the abominable snowman?
I think that's for sure real. I think the Himalayas are like gigantic and barren and completely undiscovered. And it's likely some type of like a mountain bear or something. Like something that's been seen like 9 times in 100 years.
Totally.
And
I mean that's kind of on par with Bigfoot for me. Although like there's more people claiming to see Bigfoot and encounter it, but maybe it just got pushed further away and ended up in the Arctic tundra.
Very possible.
I believe it's like I think that Bigfoot definitely exists. I don't know. Even as a fan, I feel like
it definitely has.
Person.
I think it's still,
I know.
I think it still exists.
I think it's there. I think it's,
I want to believe it could.
There was like I said, a lot of the things that I saw that I thought were interesting was there was one story I read about. Now this was on Vancouver Island, which I thought was kind of weird because like you don't really hear of like big animals on islands. Now Sumatra's an island and they got orangutans. So what the fuck do I know?
But everyone knows the orangutan is there. It's not secret.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they got But so this was a story. I can't remember where it was. Started with a C, like Chippewa or Mount Chippanini.
Something like
that.
Sounds like something
bring in like any bells, Mike? No.
Yeah, both are actual places. Yep.
Yeah. Both on the island. But so it was this story of this highway, and like within 100 kilometers of one another. And within like 4 hours, there were 2 different eyewitness testimonies about a Bigfoot crossing the road that people, like 2 different people saw on the same night, kind of thing. That it's like, that to me kind of was like, okay, so the one person saw it, and there's like a Bigfoot in the area, and then someone else saw it on the same night, like 100 kilometers away, 4 or 5 hours later. Like
this is modern day.
Yeah. Like I think it's
Facebook,
like 2000s.
Facebook.
Could be Facebook.
Someone Facebooked it, and then someone got wise and was like, "I'm gonna cash in on this."
Yeah.
I think it was like 2 summers ago. There was like all these like Mothman or not Mothman, like a Batman, like a
totally
huge bat was seen in Chicago.
Okay.
You guys, you're not up on this?
Mm-hmm.
I know kind of what you're talking
It was
about. I
like
think it is that Mothman.
2006, maybe 2000, not 2000, 2016, maybe 2000. I think it was 2015, 2016. There's all these reports of like this humanoid bat seen over Chicago, and if you like Google it, like there's probably 100 eyewitness accounts.
Mothman.
But it's exactly what you're saying, Mike. It's like someone says it, and then it's just like internet trolls and want to be part of the crowd. Like all these other stories come out, and it's just like now it looks like, whoa, shit, there's something going on here, because like 100 people have said like over the course of one summer that they saw this giant bat. But it's also like, there's also 100 people that just want fucking attention and are posting on Facebook like, what was that? Something just flew over us. It had red eyes.
Now, it seems like a contradiction, but, like, because, like, let's say turn of the century, 1800s, late 1800s, early 1900s, I feel like it was way easier to fake things back then and, I mean, you didn't have the resources or the knowledge.
You guys think the moon landing's fake, and that was in the 60s.
Well, exactly.
Imagine 1910.
But I also think that, like, some accounts seem more believable from back then, even though it was, in my eyes, could be easier to fake for someone who had the resources. Some of that stuff seems more believable. Like just briefly touching on the whole Mothman thing. Like there's accounts in like let's say turn of the century, early 1900s of like this happening. It's like there was not that fucking technology like that no one could really realize that. Like in their garage, in their fucking back room. No one was building fucking apparatus to fucking fly around New York City. But there's accounts of that happening. Which is just weird. I don't know. The whole folklore thing it's interesting, but it's just fucking weird.
It's all I think it's all like a snowball effect, Like I kind of like to tie it all back into like my original idea
with Facebook,
of like
it's
the not even Facebook, but the migration of people around the Bering Strait and interacting with Gigantopithecus, and then having these stories where. There was
you can fucking say that fine, but you can't say bonjour.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. But a Gigantopithecus.
He even like has a lisp at the end, like a sign.
Yeah, I heard it.
Like one of the things that I read or I heard again, like there was like one of the things was like this native fella was talking about the Sasquatch and his culture and stuff, and that they actually it was like part of it was as much as they like respected and got along with the Sasquatch used to kidnap women and take them away. And that even to this day in the guy's tribe, like if there is any like suspicion that there's a Bigfoot in the area, that they don't let the women go out on their own.
Oh yeah.
Like they'll walk them to their cars. Yeah, and escort them everywhere kind of thing.
I heard
like,
something about that,
super weird, and like, but this also kind of came back into the whole, like, Bigfoot being not an ape, but another Homo sapien, Neanderthal, hobbit person, clove people, because there would... Slash sloth, because there would... As shitty as it is, it's like, there is an interbreeding aspect to it. That because it was a woman, they were like, we can mate with this kind of thing, and so it's super weird, and like even then it got into like he talked about how the reason why they don't really do it anymore is because they know that like if you go into someone's town and take somebody, like it's gonna cause a reaction, and people are gonna come looking for you.
Not on the highway of tears.
No.
Yeah, no, not really.
I just brought it back.
Some crazy shit just went down that I don't want to talk about on camera because I got some friends that are kind of affiliated with this weird thing. We'll talk about after the show, but it's fucking mental.
Our next episode, I feel like
blowing up right now.
Are
in
we
the
saying
podcast business, that's called a tease.
Sasquatch or the North American standing sloth?
I mean, who knows?
Could be.
Just as
it's
likely
not believable
as anything else.
Yeah, exactly.
But then this guy went on to talk about how like they still do like that they will like eat people, and like they are kind of carnivorous, omnivores, I guess is what you'd call them. But it's less of like we're going into villages and taking people, but like if you stumble upon us, like we have no problem taking you down kind of
Yeah,
thing.
getting the torches and the lynching rope.
No, like the other way, like the Bigfoot will eat human beings.
Bigfoot.
Like they don't give
Okay.
a fuck. Like
They
could
might
rip
know how
you
to
in
use a
half.
torch.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? We're
They
not
might
giving them
have
enough
fire.
credit. How do you know it's not like
They
a
got-
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves type thing going on?
They have so much
No.
fur,
Hanging
though.
out in the trees. They got fucking an economy.
What are you saying? It'd be a lot of fun.
No, it's, like, they have so much fur, it'd be risky using
Oh,
fire.
Yeah, well, whatever. Probably just smells really
Just-
bad.
Yeah.
Smells like
Yeah.
burnt hair.
Like that.
What
I
if
think
you
it'd
just
be
stay
cool.
The
wet?
shadow that walked past
Stay
my
wet.
bedroom.
Yeah, I bet you'd be like a civilization with a lot of rope ladders, and I think
Wow.
that's cool.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
That's what you're picturing, eh?
A lot of
Living
tire
in the trees,
swings.
rope ladders. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Instead of
That's
like
really what it is. Like they don't want to hurt anybody. They just like scour our highways for our blown out tires and bring them back.
Yeah.
Big
All our
swings.
tin cans and blown
Yeah.
out tires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know that
Make
big
chimes.
plastic? Oh, you know that plastic in the ocean? Yeah, that's Bigfoot. He's a dick. He's just
Cleaning
picking
up
all
his
our
forest
plastic,
and throwing it in the ocean.
throwing it in the Pacific. Fuck you,
That's
humans.
a theory. That's
Yeah.
a theory.
You cut down my trees?
Oh,
tossing
no.
these bags into the ocean.
Yeah.
You think it's a
Fuck
jellyfish?
the turtles.
Well, speaking of like modern day, and we were just talking about Facebook and the snowballing, and you're saying snowballing in another way, but like modern day, people still claim to see fucking Bigfoot. Like people are using drones as a hobby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
people are fucking super gay about that stuff. You know, and they're out there every. Well, you know what I mean. I don't mean.
I know exactly
fucking
what you mean.
This kind of.
That's
Yeah, yeah.
exactly what you mean, yeah.
Yeah. So, but like
Yeah.
they're really hard on the fucking, on the drones, and they're like as a hobby. So people are out there, wasting their lives, flying drones
Droning.
around, hoping
Yeah.
to maybe see a nipple.
Yeah.
But like people are doing it out in the woods. Again,
Mhm.
no hope really out there. But like, how come there hasn't been any, like in the last decade where drones have been a thing? Like there hasn't been a single. Has there been a single account of Bigfoot?
Now, before RJ, you get
Ice?
anything, I do know, like again, back to the tribes in the Amazon. I know a couple weeks ago there was a picture taken of a man in the Amazon that is like, one of these tribes that doesn't interact with human beings, and he has no idea. And he's just like, gathering berries, and this drone caught a picture of him,
Mhm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, to add to what you're saying, I think it's possible. My thing is, it's like, fuck the pictures, get the infrared going.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what you gotta do.
Okay.
Go out at night with your drone, with an infrared setting. Like, how are we not seeing? Like, that's where you gotta find. If there's such good hiders,
Yeah.
but like, are they also covered in mud,
Cold-blooded.
like Arnold
Cold-blooded,
Schwarzenegger
yeah.
in Predator? Like.
Maybe.
It's the way
Come
it
and
Could
is.
get
be
me!
cold-blooded.
That's what they're doing. They're just screaming, "Come and get
That's
me!"
it.
and we don't see them.
Kill
Kill me now!
Well, like, how come we haven't found any fucking carcasses or?
Oh, they bury that shit.
They bury
And their
their
shit.
dead.
They bury their poop and their dead
But if
together.
there's got to be enough of them to fucking like take care of that, like sweep in the forest. Like I know, like they say, like you
Yeah,
don't
fair
find
enough.
bear carcasses
Yeah.
very often. You don't find so and so carcasses very often. Sure, that's true, but it's like, in all the fucking years, no one's ever found a bear carcass. Fuck that. Like people find them,
Yeah.
but
it's
Bigfoot,
rare.
no
Yeah.
one's ever found a Bigfoot. Like, come on.
now,
If they're
yeah,
out there in the
Or the
numbers
fossil.
that.
Or a
the
fossil.
fossil record.
Yeah, a fossil for fuck's
Fossil
sake. yeah.
records don't have anything. Now,
No.
the argument to that is it's harder to find fossils in rainforest type settings because there's more animals that will just come and fucking eat
Yeah.
everything. Insects.
Okay.
Well, even
Right.
fossils in general are like incredibly rare.
Yeah.
Like you think
Sure.
of like
Yeah.
ballpark, there might be like 30 Tyrannosaurus Rex skeletons like in the world,
Mhm.
and that's
Yeah.
like an animal that was alive for millions of years.
Mhm.
Yep.
Like the percentage
But they
of them
say that
falling
potentially
and
it
dying in
dates-
the like ideal like swamp condition to like preserve it is like so
Yeah, yeah.
unlikely.
It's
Yeah.
pretty rare.
It's
for
I know
sure.
of
super
one
rare.
one dinosaur
And
that
to
fell
extract
into
it.
bog and they pulled it out.
Yeah,
You
like
can
that just
look
does
that
The
shit
woolly
up.
mammoth too, wasn't there? Like a woolly mammoth or something.
The one I'm thinking about is that stupid one that's got like it's just got like the tail that's got like a hammer on it essentially. It's a little guy.
The
But
Ankylosaurus.
you can look that up online and it's like supposedly real, right?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, fuck. I feel like we could talk all fucking
think
month
they
about
bury
this,
them.
but like, yeah.
They have to. I read an article one time about how they found this cave in Ethiopia that was full of bodies, ancient like human bodies kind of thing, and they were like they think that this is like the first ever recorded history of humans burying their dead. 'Cause apparently this cave was super hard to get into. That they think that it was like this is where they would put their remains. Not so much burying them, but at least putting them all in one area,
Piling them up,
entomb them, and not only that, but less than like a kilometer away from this site is also the site where they found the first evidence of human beings using fire. So it was kind of this weird like, did this all happen around the same time? Like first the tools, then the ability to like manipulate fire, and then like having that conscious thought that
Ethiopia
like, hey, like
peaked early.
Yeah, oh yeah, that was it, right? 20 million years ago, they peaked with fire and burying their dead, and they're like, "We're good.
We're good. We got this.
Send your seeds." So I don't know. I think like that's the only thing I could think of is they got to bury their dead or eat them. But maybe they don't fuck their sons, but they'll fucking eat them.
So what's the verdict? I'm pro Bigfoot existing. Maybe not the like
modern day you're pro
fictional version of what a Bigfoot is, but I think that the possibility of like an undiscovered animal
North American
standing sloth. I'm pro.
Yeah. Pro.
I'm pro. But the only thing in like I feel like if anyone has listened to this podcast, I'm a big fan of the evidence. I'm a big fan of tangible evidence.
But we don't have any, and you're still on board.
And we don't have any, right?
Yeah,
but I think that it's beyond possible that there is a North American great ape that roams the Northwest. Yeah. Yeah, it still exists.
I want to believe. I definitely believe at one point in time. Yeah, at one point in time there was, right? Like there definitely was. I'm sure at one point in time, something that resembles what we consider Bigfoot or Yeti or Crazy Bear or any of the fucking bullshit we talked about.
Standing sloth.
No, that's the one. Yeah.
That's
so
hilarious.
I believe that it did exist. Does it still exist? I believe that it's possible. Like there's enough remote areas still left on this earth, whether it be the Arctic tundra, whether it be fucking like the Chinese fucking wilderness, it's dense as fuck, or even up here in northern BC. Like there's enough isolated and secluded areas that sure, people might hike to it or backcountry ski, and maybe that area sees 5 people a year. But like, if it's only 5 people, they're gonna smell you coming, man, and they're gonna duck off. Like, I believe it's possible. I want to believe it's possible. It is just hard to fucking like stand strong and be like, yes.
And I think too, RJ, like we kind of jumped on it where it's like there's just too much hoax. There's too much bullshit.
Yeah,
that like for every one person that's probably actually interacted with one, there's got to be at least 30 that are just like, let's put some fucking wood on our feet and run through the snow.
Yeah.
Like
there's 30 to 1. I'm saying 1,000 to 1.
That's the thing, like you said
sure.
about the hunters, though. It's like for every person that has saw something that they don't understand and they question it, like that's the kind of person that's gonna just, I don't know what that was, and keep it. Maybe they'll tell a few family friends. Yeah. But they don't know. But for someone to be like, I saw this, I'm making a video on YouTube, I'm going to post it and send it into real TV, that person's full of shit. Anyone that's going to I don't know what that was, but let's make a video and put it all over the, don't do that. Like, if you don't know, why would you do that? other than like you know that you're just lying. So like you said about the hunters and even like my story, it's like I'm pretty sure that was a bear. Option B was a moose. All the way down the line, like maybe it was a North American standing sloth. But like I would never broadcast that online and like hang my hat on that and wear a name tag of like, oh, I saw this because like it smelled bad near my window. Like that's ridiculous.
Well, you have other things going on in your life, you know. Like let's just chalk it up to
even
that.
as a 14-year-old, I had
not
other
desperate
shit to do. I had to paint. I had to paint the next day. Like I don't have time to make a goddamn video.
The one thing, the video that I watched about Kevin Charles was, he very much was like, I 100% believe in Bigfoot. I know they exist, but sitting here right now talking to you, to this camera, it's like, I don't have tangible evidence. I can't, all I can tell you is what I've seen and what I've experienced, where if you turn around and just say, well, I don't believe you, there's nothing I can do beyond what, you know what I mean? That it's like, because there's no hard, here's the fucking, like, I'm wearing it as a puppet and we're talking as Bigfoot. Like, I can't do anything other than show you what I've shown you, and if you don't believe, then the only way that you're going to ever believe it is if one of them walks out with his briefcase like, I'm ready to pay my taxes. Right.
Shave down. Shave down.
Shaves the cul-de-sac just to fit in.
I don't think we should get into this because we're already looking at a fucking hour and a half here, but I can't believe we haven't brought up that Les Stroud stuff.
I was thinking about it right now. Like, should we go?
Why don't we just save that? We could save it. We could talk.
Todd Standing.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, something like that.
He's the like.
We're getting into it.
The last I heard of him.
Let's be quick about it.
The last I heard about Todd Standing was that he was actually going to bring a case towards like the Canadian government about getting Bigfoot recognized as a real species. Okay. He said he had enough evidence that if it was a murder case, that person would be put away for a couple of years.
I never heard of him.
Now, I think a lot of what he has is circumstantial evidence.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about the judicial system, like, that's not going to put anything away. Like, again, you need some tangible. I want a murder weapon. I want a Bigfoot dick. You know?
At least give me a glove.
DNA
or a bloody glove.
Yeah. So
give me a hairy glove or something.
Apparently, him and Lee Strauss, the Survivor Man, like, that's kind of like, I didn't watch any of the Survivor Man stuff.
Very close.
But that Todd guy comes into his show a couple times and is the one that takes him out on different expeditions through. I've seen videos with Todd in his ghillie suit running through the forest, and he actually has a video of what he says is a Sasquatch up in a tree on thermal video.
Right.
Now again, I watch it and it's like, oh my god, that's it. But then when it's done, it's like, yeah, but a thermal video could be your fucking kid up in the tree. You know,
two owls beside each other.
Yeah, just cocoon.
To fill you in on the Lee Stroud thing. So this happened.
That's not his name, by the way.
What's his name?
Les Stroud.
Everyone's
calling him Lee Stroud.
He's Lee. Les Stroud. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast maybe like 4 years ago. And he was telling a story of when he was doing Survivor Man in Alaska. There was just one night he was all by himself, and he could hear what he thought was an ape. And he was like similar to what you said about like he was a hunter. He knows this part of the world. He knows everything. He was going down the checklist. It wasn't this. It wasn't that. It wasn't this. But then comparing it to like when he's done Survivor Man in Africa. He's like, this is the sound of a ape, a gorilla, like the sound of it moving, the amount of weight you can hear, the like hooting and the hollering. Like there's a gorilla outside of the tent. And it scared him to death. And he like kept it under his hat for a while. And then this story came out on Joe Rogan because Joe Rogan's obsessed with Bigfoots and all that nonsense. And then maybe like a year later, he came back on the show and was like, okay, so like I'm not doing Survivor Man anymore. My next show is going to be like a Finding Bigfoot Survivor Man.
Yeah.
And I'm going to
I
go
have
back
some
to the same
evidence or
place and
something.
try and recreate what happened and have
Yeah.
the cameras and all that ready. Because basically, like Survivor Man fans know, he shoots and does everything himself.
Yeah.
So at the time, he was in the tent with the camera, and there was no way to see what was outside without him going outside, and he was too afraid to do that. So he's like, the next time I'm going to go back and set up all these cameras around the tent.
Yeah.
And there was, I guess, I never watched it, but there was a whole series of Les Stroud, finding
Whatever.
Les
It doesn't
Stroud
even matter
finding
anymore.
Bigfoot.
Lesbo.
And I don't think he
It's his middle
found
name.
anything. But him not finding anything when he really tried, like, I don't think that discounts when he just happened to find something and didn't have.
And
his
for
cameras and all
somebody
that ready.
for somebody with his reputation and like experience to say that's something I've never heard or experienced before, like whether it's Bigfoot or not, it's still entertaining.
Yeah.
So I mean,
It's
to attach the Bigfoot label to it, right on.
Right.
I'm buying it.
I'm buying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, is that out already, or is it?
I think
I
it
thought I
came out
remember.
already.
I think it's a.
Yeah, but it's
Okay.
just
I
like
read
any
a
other
quick
Bigfoot
little
show. It's just like there's echo.
I read a fucking like the 20 best things to take away from the series. That's what I read, and a lot of them weren't any good. The structure stuff. Do you guys know anything about like the tree breaks?
Yeah, stuff like.
It's like they will break off trees to show dominance, and they also think that it's like a way, like street signs almost, like don't go this
is
way.
my territory or whatever.
Yeah, kind of thing. And not only the tree breaks, but sometimes there's structures that they build, which is like really weird.
Like
I think
den
also
type things.
Well, no, and it's like they look more like teepees.
Oh
Like,
yeah, okay.
just a bunch of wood fallen into one area.
Lean
that
to,
it's like it
or
could.
whatever.
What's that?
A lean-to, is that what they call it? Like the Survivor?
Yeah,
Well, that's kind of off a different structure, but yeah, essentially, sure.
but yeah, just like that.
The
It's like all
broken-
these sticks that will lean on one another really high up that look like a teepee.
Yeah.
That it's like could very well be dismissed as like natural, like oh those trees broke in on themselves.
But it would be a weird coincidence. Not to say it
For
couldn't
sure.
happen. Yeah.
Not saying it, but like I could see one.
I think all the
But,
tree
like,
branches.
I've seen plenty of widow makers out in the woods, right,
Yeah,
where
this is-
trees
For
are
sure.
leaning on other trees.
But like to say that like 8 of them all fell in on the same area is a little
and like
weird.
too big for a human to manhandle, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like a tree
Yeah,
branch
it's
high
interesting.
enough up to be a North American standing sloth, like that adds credibility.
Yeah. And I guess the way they're
I'm into it.
broken
I'm
that they
into it.
talk about is how it's like as if somebody had grabbed it lower down and then reached up and snapped it.
Right.
Is where, but again, it's like 8 to 10
Two
feet
people?
in the air. Yeah, like
people
2
standing
people.
on each other.
Could be, yeah,
Possibly.
could be.
Vincent
Have you ever watched a
Adult Man.
gorilla walk?
Yeah.
I watched a video of a gorilla walking on hind legs, and it really seriously looks like 2 children in a trench coat trying to buy beer.
With a big
Like it looks
gut.
really funny. Business. Yeah.
All right, let's do some asking experts.
Ooh.
Yeah,
here we
yeah.
go.
Was that question part of it? I thought.
No, I
maybe
got a
it
No, I
was.
don't think so.
No.
Was that
Okay.
your question?
This
Yeah.
relates to that jabroni Skylar was just talking about. If he pleads his case, I didn't know anything about this, but I was already thinking about that. And they do DNA, blah blah blah, and they find that the Bigfoot shares genetic material with human.
Mm-hmm.
Does that become human or animal? And if it leans more human than animal, do they become citizens? Like, is it a race of people or a breed of animal?
Well, I think it depends,
It depends,
if they
100%.
are
Cognate?
contributing. Like
Oh.
if they're contributing kind
Pay your
of.
taxes.
No, not even about taxes, but just like are they able to form like a
Government.
you know government? Are they able to form like thoughts in the same way? Are they
For
able
sure.
to comprehend things? Self-awareness? Do they have a language? Can we interpret it? Like if they are able to blend into society, let's say there's enough of them eventually, they come out of the woodworks literally, and they can blend in. Yeah, sure, they could should have rights at the very least. I don't think the same rights as humans, but like the same as definitely more than livestock, but less than humans.
This is like Quebec all over again.
Wow.
Yeah, they should be the new Quebec.
Yeah. Quebec too.
Sasquatch,
Yeah. No, I just
Quebec,
think like if
rest
they
of
can
Canada.
integrate, if they can integrate, then they should be considered. But like if they're just animalistic and that's how they're gonna live.
Are you
and how
talking
we're
about Quebecois or Sasquatch?
talking about the sloth,
Sasquatch.
dude, standing sloth.
Sasquatch.
Yeah, that's all I gotta say. Sure.
I'm more
maybe.
interested. Like if they join our society, what's the porn gonna be like?
Oh, awesome! Just
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh, it's gonna be like there's
Yeah.
no softcore Bigfoot porn.
Well,
I
you don't know what
think.
you're
No,
dealing
no,
with, though. They
it's-
might have innies.
Yeah,
Ooh.
maybe.
They might have innies.
Maybe they're
They
asexual.
might be.
There will
Yeah.
definitely be a market for
What
it.
if they're like
Maybe the
pandas
male
and they just
carries
hate
the baby
having-
like
they
the
just hate mating.
like a fucking seahorse. Yeah, maybe they only mate like elephants once every 20 years, and they don't. It's like when you're with somebody for real long and you're trying to get a hand job, and they're just like, like no, and they
It's
like
my
they're wearing
birthday, though.
they're wearing their robe and they got their curlers in, and they're just like,
Yeah.
Are you done? Are you done? That's
You'll
Bigfoot
know.
sex. Yeah, dildo. Sit on it. I don't know. I don't think they can integrate. I mean, like, would you integrate? Like, fucking people are given gorillas basic human rights. Was one of the
Yeah.
last things I heard that they're trying to
That's
do.
pushing it.
I don't know, man.
They
Fucking
can't
Coco.
Yeah,
Coco's
Coco talked.
Coco knows some shit, dude.
Coco's
Like,
full of
Coco
shit.
no knows.
Coco is full
Yeah,
of shit.
Yeah. Yeah, she
But it's
fucking
pretty
thought
interesting.
humans were stupid. She
I'm-
didn't want to
Yeah.
fuck her brother either.
I'm a
Like, she
Coco
could think.
denier. I'm a Coco denier.
really? You think they just staged
I
that? Like
think
they
it was
got to
just her
say what it wanted
interpreter.
to
If
say?
you look at it, like no other like
Yeah.
sign language people could understand her. It was just her interpreter.
That's bullshit. That's
Oh.
absolute. They taught her fucking American Sign Language.
Yeah, but only the
I don't
only the
know
interpreter
enough,
could
but-
understand her. Like her sign
That's not
language was
true.
so like
That's
shitty.
some flat Earth shit right there. Fuck off. Coco painted pictures. She wrote journals.
That's not
She
the
was
same
awesome.
person. I thought there was a different monkey that drew pictures.
No, that was Coco.
So now here's the thing, like
That was
either
Coco.
either Coco's completely fucking fake and those people duped us for 20 years,
Yeah.
yeah,
or
yeah.
or did the gorilla just fucking learn sign language and could
The
communicate with
gorilla
human
could
beings?
like if you do this to the gorilla goes, oh yeah. And then the like stupid interpreter's like she just said like I want to go in the car today.
No, that's if anything I could see them like repeating what you've done
Yeah.
to get a reaction, but
Sure.
when this does something completely different, and it's again like they maybe it wasn't straight up
responds to-
American Sign Language, but they would teach it like, hey, this is an apple, this sign means apple. Do you know
Yeah, yeah.
like
All the
That's
signs
real.
are just
Now,
a
Coco
clenched
was
gorilla
legit.
fist.
no,
There was
it's
a
not
lot of
fucking
this
how it
going
worked.
on. There was.
They
There
were
was
like
a lot of this.
bullshit and
Yeah, there
You
was
know?
a lot of.
yeah,
Cross
fucking
the
cow
apples.
udders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking
No,
There was a lot
I
of-
don't.
But it
think-
was interesting.
I think if
Coco
like to
hungry.
wrap your question up, if they are discovered, they will be. I think they got to leave them alone and just let them do their thing.
Okay.
You know.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, sorry,
Sanctuary
native people,
kinda thing?
you didn't get the same
Why?
fucking quirks,
Treatment.
right?
They're
But,
still
like,
working on it,
Charter
you know.
rights.
Still
Give
working
them
on
another
it,
100
yeah.
years.
100
Yeah,
years
Give them another
and
100.
counting.
Give them another 100.
And like I don't mean that to be like a funny dick or anything. It's just like, yeah, no, like you gotta leave. Like they gotta leave those the Bigfoot.
Yeah, they should create a sanctuary if it does exist. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, who's got next?
Top of a church with some bells.
Well, kind of in that realm, as far as like creating a sanctuary goes. Let's say that like, you know, one is discovered, one Bigfoot is discovered.
yeah,
They kill the Bigfoot. They hold a raffle.
instantly.
Mm.
Ooh.
They hold a raffle like fucking Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. You
I
get
got
the
a golden ticket.
You get the golden ticket, and the golden ticket is to feast on the Bigfoot.
Yeah,
Would you?
Of course.
Would you eat it, RJ? I know you would.
Right
Yeah.
in.
yeah.
Would. Even
I
if
mean,
it was like 1% less than a human, like if it
And
was
it's
basically
already
human,
dead
like-
and like cut up and ready to go.
Yeah, but
Are we
think of this.
staking
There's
it,
gonna be a
sausage?
bunch. There's gonna be a bunch of fucking backlash
No, there isn't.
from all the fucking humanitarians, the PETA, the feminists,
They're
whoever
not
is
humans,
gonna
though.
get on board. You
not-
know,
Yeah,
like
PETA's fucking, they lie. They're
It's only-
fucking
so.
dicks.
Like, are you with all that in mind? The rest of your life, you're the guy who ate the only Bigfoot.
Yeah. I
Are
didn't
you
kill
still
it.
doing it?
I didn't kill it.
What
I'm
if
just
you have to
eating
kill
it?
it first? What if you
Put
have
it
to
in my
kill
Big Mac. I have to kill
I
it
have to
now.
kill it.
What
Also,
if?
that's
What
part of the
if?
water.
I'm
You
just
have
saying.
to kill it.
My bare hands, so I get
Yeah.
a gun.
Yeah. But you won the golden
Can I
ticket,
like
dude.
turn it around and so it doesn't have to look at
Yeah.
me?
Nope.
No, it's
could-
gotta look at
No, you gotta look it right in the eye,
right in the
Yeah.
eye to see the whites.
and it's got
Yeah.
a name.
I wouldn't kill it. I would eat it if it was presented to me as like a jerky. I definitely.
Yeah, they
Only
have
in jerk
Bigfoot
form.
jerky already. It's total
Not only
bullshit.
in jerk form, but definitely like
No.
that'd be easy. I'm just like, hey, I smoked this jerk. Do you want it? And then you bite it, and it's like, hey, it was Bigfoot. It'd be like, got
Okay.
any more?
You'd both eat it. Yeah, I think I would too, even with all the fucking
Cool.
publicity and
Yeah, I
everything.
would
It'd be good. I
definitely
think
do
it'd be good for the podcast.
Yeah.
know,
I
get
think it'd
some
be just
publicity.
good for my own life
Sitting here.
to be like, here's an opportunity to
The
do
guy.
something that's
Yeah,
literally once in a lifetime, and you
Yeah,
can
totally.
either go home and talk about it later, or have a
Hmm.
regret that, like, oh man, I should have eaten that old tree monkey or whatever the fuck it is.
American standing
American
sloth.
standing sloth.
See, I just like I
Could
don't
have
know.
had some
I guess
burger.
my question, it's kind of like a two-parter, but like one, do you think if Bigfoot got integrated into our society, would it boost the shoe economy in China? And
Ooh.
two,
Ooh.
do you think that like Bigfoot would die from being like exposed to like syphilis and herpes?
McDonald's. It'd be McDonald's. I got
Yeah,
it.
like
Yeah,
when
yeah.
we first interacted with native people, we as in the whites, like
Yeah, yeah.
that was what like a big part of it was like we killed each other just from our fucking smallpox and shit that we gave them because their
Yeah.
immune systems weren't good enough. But I mean, the
Mhm.
economy would definitely thrive.
Yeah,
from
China's
making those-
economy would probably. I mean, if they were interested in clothing them and putting shoes on them,
Definitely
they'd have to.
shoes.
They'd have to.
Yeah. In the term of like one of their biggest suppliers, Nike, just do it.
Just fucking do
I
it.
feel like
Just
the
do it,
other
you know?
way that there's so many horrible racist Canadians that they would
Not this
be
guy.
appalled at the idea of clothing and caring for a new species. Like if there's
you
like a
think there's-
group of Canadian
Huh?
that is like anti-refugee,
Yeah, yeah.
they would
enough
be
of
the
them.
same group that's like, why we're giving these people like apartments? Like they should just live in the woods.
Yeah, they're not paying
They're
taxes.
not paying taxes.
Yeah, yeah.
Not yet.
My family's
yet,
been
no.
here for 100 years.
Not yet.
Yeah, I want to go to college.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I have all this culture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, people
But
fucking
what?
suck.
But the question was, would it boost the economy?
No,
What is
I don't think it would
economy?
boost the economy.
I think it
I
would.
think it
Not
would-
locally.
Cause here's all these tax dollars that have to go to support these people, and all the horrible people that would complain about that would lead it to similar to like what's going on with the natives now. You have your little
Yeah.
plot of land up there, and we don't care if you have running water or
Oh,
not.
okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah, yeah.
But
yeah.
then, like, the second
That's
part to
probably
that
more likely.
question of, like, how long do you think it would last before they all died from, like, just disease or heroin,
yeah,
alcohol, you know? Like,
Main-
us just
mainline
introducing them
once
to
and
all
it's-
those cool
yeah.
things that we do.
Fuck. Heroin, yeah.
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 Fucking without condoms.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
well,
sure they don't, but, you know.
That's every 20 years, bud. We already went over that.
What if it went the other
Once every
way
20
though?
years.
Like if it
Fucking-
was like Planet of the Apes style. Like once they decide to like reveal themselves and they're like, hey, we're the people behind the Highway of Tears, and now we're gonna make the whole country that. Lock up your women.
Oh no, they just take over.
They
eh?
just take over.
Bigfoot
They're
and
so
the dolphins.
superior, yeah.
They're just
Yeah,
superior in
dolphins and
every way.
Bigfoot fucking team up.
Yeah,
Ugh.
they can turn into
You take the
myths. They
seas, I'll take
communicate
the ground.
telepathetically. All of that.
Get the bats involved.
Everything's real.
Yeah, wow. What was the
Heavy.
question again? What would they die from syphilis? Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Or maybe they're like, maybe they don't exist, and they wouldn't die from shit.
They don't gotta worry about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
What if they were real and integrated? Would they die from man-made diseases and man-made afflictions like drugs and McDonald's? Yeah, they would.
Yeah, like real quick, probably.
Oh, super quick.
I'm leaning.
Like they got that sniff. They'd be like, "You eat this? The fuck?"
Yeah.
And we'd be like, "Yeah, give it."
Like, do you think that they possibly have the same organ structure? Like, maybe they don't have a fucking pancreas.
Yeah.
So
true.
they couldn't,
Yeah.
make insulin or whatever.
Or like
the
a
fuck that
liver,
thing
so they
does.
couldn't drink alcohol, right? Like it's.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very plausible. How do we
There's
know?
only one way to find out.
Cut them up.
Gotta get
Tune
'em.
in next week.
Cut 'em and eat
Tune
'em.
in next week when we do the Bigfoot autopsy.
Yeah.
Cut them up,
Full
I
on
say.
Bigfoot autopsy next
See,
week.
that's the
pretty much
that's the
experts.
bad part. It's like it sucks. Like I'm down to integrate, but that first fucking Bigfoot is just gonna get chopped the fuck up.
Yeah, or
And
raped or something.
Oh yeah.
Both
Yeah.
Yeah.
before and
Yeah,
after.
it's gonna get abused for sure.
The first one to
Yeah,
go to like
unfortunately.
university or something is gonna be celebrated, but then there'll be like 30 years of just like backwards
Coco.
glances, like all these people taking up the room. They don't even chew with their mouth
Oh
closed.
yeah, no, you're totally right. It would be civil rights all
Oh,
over
it'd be
again.
horrible.
Yeah,
Just
for
stay
sure.
in the woods, Bigfoot. You're better off.
Yeah.
You're utopia.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you come to our society, it's backdoor for you.
Oh yeah. You're fucked.
At least for 50 years.
You feel like
Yeah.
an animal now.
Yeah.
Wait till you have to like wait in line. At
Yeah,
the
go talk to
DMV.
Roger Merrick. Is that his name? The Elephant Man. He got it bad
Joseph.
too. Joseph.
Joseph
Those
Merrick.
crazy elephant bones.
All right, boys,
Yeah.
let's wrap this
All
one up.
All right.
Yeah.
That's
On that
pretty
note.
much experts. Sasquatch. Thank you, Frontline Fiesta, for the wonderful theme music.
As
Woo.
always.
I'm Robert John.
Mhm.
There's Mikey
Hello.
and
bye.
Skylar.
Goodbye.
See y'all next week.
Yeah.